Welcome to my channel, detailing events throughout the decades. 1997. Princess Diana killed. It was on Saturday 30th that Diana and Dodi Fayed arrived in Paris. Dodi was the son of Mohammed Al Fayed, a businessman who owned the Ritz Hotel in Paris, as well as Harrods department store in London. Both Diana and Dodi were staying in the Hotel Ritz in Paris, and were planning to spend the night in Paris before returning back to London. The deputy head of security at the Ritz Hotel, Henri Paul, had been told to drive the couple in a hired black Mercedes-Benz, to elude the paparazzi. A decoy vehicle had left the Ritz from the main entrance, which was hoped to attract the paparazzi, who were desperate to get pictures of the couple. Diana and Dodi departed the Ritz from the rear entrance in the early hours of August 31st. They were seated in the rear of the vehicle, along with Trevor Rhys-Jones, a member of the security team who was seated in the front passenger seat, and Henri Paul, the driver. It has been reported that both Diana and Dodi were not wearing their seat belts at the time of the accident. The vehicle traveled towards the Place de l'Alma tunnel. It was at 12:23 a.m. that Henri Paul is reported to have lost control of the vehicle. He was at the entrance of the tunnel. The vehicle struck the right-hand wall and swerved to the left of the two-lane carriageway, before colliding head-on with the 13th pillar that was supporting the tunnel's roof. The vehicle spun and hit the wall of the tunnel, before coming to a stop. It is reported that the vehicle was traveling at around 65 miles per hour. The impact had caused substantial damage to the vehicle. Witnesses reported that the vehicle was being hounded by photographers on motorbikes before it entered the tunnel. It is also reported that these same photographers arrived at the crash scene, still trying to take photos. Shortly after the crash, police arrived on the scene. 5 photographers were taken into custody. The rolls of film were taken from the photographers, and the police impounded their vehicles. Fire crews also attended the scene, and tried to help those inside the crashed vehicle. Trevor Rhys-Jones had suffered serious facial injuries and a head contusion, but was alive. Diana at the time was also conscious but had been critically injured. She was removed from the wreckage at 1 a.m., but it is said that she went into cardiac arrest, but was resuscitated. She arrived at Pitti Salpêtrière Hospital just after 2 in the morning. Dodi was pronounced dead, along with driver Henri Paul. Both were taken away to the mortuary. It was later on that they found out that Henri Paul had been drinking prior to the crash. In the hospital, every effort was made to save Diana, but her internal injuries were too extensive, and she was pronounced dead. Diana's former husband, Prince Charles, along with Diana's 2 older sisters, arrived in Paris after hearing of the crash. Prince Charles accompanied Diana's body back to England, where her body was taken to the Hammersmith and Fulham mortuary for a post-mortem. After the accident, it was found that Diana's vehicle had made contact with another vehicle, a white Fiat Uno, in the tunnel. However, the driver of this vehicle was never traced. People awoke to the news of the crash, and were left completely shocked by Diana's death. By September 10, the flowers outside of Kensington Gardens were around 5 feet deep. A book of condolence was set up at St. James Palace, and members of the public were invited to sign the book. Diana's funeral was held at Westminster Abbey on September 6. Around 3 million mourners and onlookers in London watched and listened to the proceedings on a large outdoor screen, with around another 2.5 billion watching the coverage on television. At her funeral, Elton John performed a rewritten version of his song, Candle in the Wind, which he dedicated to Diana. After the ceremony, Diana was driven to Althorpe. Mourners threw flowers as the funeral procession passed, and vehicles on the motorway stopped as the vehicle carrying Diana passed. Diana was buried on an island in the middle of a lake, known as the Oval at Althorpe. A visitors' centre is open at Althorpe during the summer months. People can view an exhibition all about Diana, as well as taking a walk around the lake. All profits raised are donated to Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund. The royal family, especially the Queen, were heavily criticized for their adherence to protocol, especially the refusal to fly the flag at Buckingham Palace at half-mast. Diana's sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, were only 15 and 12 at the time of her death. An 18-month investigation by the French concluded that the crash was caused by Henri Paul, who lost control of the vehicle at high speed while being intoxicated. There have been several inquests conducted over the years since Diana died, along with several conspiracy theories. Many believe that her death was not accidental, and she had been killed on purpose. Dodi's father has also claimed that the crash was a result of a conspiracy, and it had been orchestrated by MI6 on instructions of the royal family. Since the crash, 9 photographers who had hounded Diana and Dodi were charged with manslaughter in France. However, these charges were eventually dropped in 2002. A new inquiry was launched on August 17, 2013, by Scotland Yard, who revealed that they would be examining the credibility of information from a source who alleged Diana was murdered by a member of the British military. The only survivor of the crash that day was Trevor Rees-Jones. He was criticized for not telling Dodi and Diana to put on their seatbelts, and telling Henri Paul to slow down. Trevor Rees-Jones has little recollection of the crash due to the head trauma he sustained. Whatever the final conclusion of the crash may be, we must not forget that 3 people died on that fateful day. And a much-loved Diana, the people's princess, was lost. May they never be forgotten. Thank you for watching and learning about events throughout history. Please subscribe to my channel to view other events throughout the decades.